I'm Nesha Woodhouse,
I'm Becky Moller.
and we are with Lifehouse Body Soul.
Today we're going to be talking about how to have a healthier relationship with your body.
I think for me, for so much of my life, because of my past trauma, a lot of it was related to my body and feeling like my body wasn't enough, and then the eating disorder that stepped in. Controlling my weight, controlling my food intake, the exercise, everything had to do with this belief that if I could control my size, if I weighed a certain amount, then I was safe, that I would be worthy of love, I could control people's perceptions of me, that I would feel adequate, and I would feel like I was enough. So there was always like that was kind of my subconscious belief system that I operated from. And I also was a big time people pleaser, and lived my life very much from the frame of accommodation and trying to make sure everyone was happy. And Brene Brown's in her books, The Gifts of Imperfection, where she talks about that perfectionists believe if they just work hard enough, if they do everything right, that no one will ever be mad at them. They won't disappoint anyone, everyone will be happy with them. That was definitely a belief system that I held. And the body was tied into that. And I went through this period of about 6 months where things in my life were just crazy. My business was exploding. And my husband had an intense job, and I had small children, and I had never worked harder in my life, was just sleep deprived because I was working so much and working so hard. And the gift that happened that seemed like such a hard thing at the time was no one in my life was happy with me. It just felt like I was failing despite all of my best efforts in pleasing people. I had some employees unhappy with me. I had patrons of my business, just a lot of complaints, and I felt like my husband wasn't happy with me. I felt like I wasn't being the mom I wanted to be, and I just hit this brick wall. And that was such an important thing that happened in my life, because I woke up to the fact that the way that I had been operating in the world was false and wrong. And including with my body, I just had to let everything go and felt like I was starting over. And so I stopped trying to control my weight. And I had never not been on a diet. I mean, even from when I was really, really little and young. And it wasn't that I was binging or doing anything out of control, but I just was done trying to control it. And so I put on weight, and it felt scary, but also my soul just felt like I needed to let go of what things looked like and turn more inside of me to work on in here instead of what was presented to the world, and focus on my my own personal thoughts and feelings, and trying to right align with my own integrity and self-defining more. And I started to just have this vision of what it would feel like to really have freedom from the issues with my body that had plagued me forever. And I could see it. And I remember one in particular powerful moment. I was on a trip with my family, and my husband and I were out on a walk in the mountains. And he was concerned because I had put on weight, and he was saying well, what's the end goal of it? What's going to happen? And was trying to tie me back to a goal size or a goal weight or something, which just felt really wrong for me to go back to that space. And there were a few things that came up for me in our discussion. I said, I don't know what the weight will be or what the size will be. But what I want to work on is I want to be able to get up every day, groom, brush my hair, brush my teeth, and put clothes on and go out the door and just not think about what I look like. I want to have a healthy relationship with food where I can listen to my body and I know when I'm hungry and I know when I'm not, because I skipped meals and, I did all of that forever. So I felt like I didn't even know how to intuitively eat. And, but I just wanted to use food to nourish my body and to enjoy, but not let it control me, or to try and control it. And I wanted to have a strong body that could do the things that I wanted to in life to help me live like a big life, to experience things, to be able to hike, to have energy, to have my joints feel good, to have mobility. But, and I just wanted to be non-attached. I said, when I can experience those things and just really be one with my body, that's the goal. And whatever size it is or whatever weight it is, it's okay. And that was hard for him, and felt, because it's like that sense of control, but my soul just knew that was the direction I needed to go. And how to get there seemed so impossible. Like I honestly, I'm like, I don't know how to get there, because I'd only lived in that controlling space for so long, but I could see that was the vision for me. And I just trusted that a way would come, that I would be able to learn and grow into the vision that I had, and what I could feel would be like the most loving and truly a place of integrity for me to operate from in a new way of living in relationship to my body.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting, because I feel like what most stories have in common, where there is like this moment of transformation, is this place where I think we all have to come to a point where we realize my life is unmanageable and I can't, I'm not in control, and we have to learn to let go. And my story is similar in a lot of ways to Nesha's. I spent 2 decades without a period because I was so controlling of, I counted calories every day. I had notebooks full of foods and numbers and was always adding in my head. And, the validation that brought me and the power that brought me was real. It was real. I lost 20 pounds very quickly my senior year of high school and became much more valued overnight almost. And so as women, that's the world we live in. It's hard to walk away from that kind of validation and power. But life has a way of bringing us to see the holes, and that eventually the wheels are going to come off. And in my life, the wheels came off through betrayal trauma. So I'd been married 13 years, and my husband struggled with betrayal behaviors, and that was so painful for me. And part of my body control issues tied back to this fear of being not good enough, being abandoned, and having what felt like the perfectest body that I was capable of made me feel safe and made me feel in control. And when this happened in my marriage, after a couple of years of working through things, I got to the point where I really deeply had to face that I wasn't in control. And nothing I did, no matter how thin I was or in control of any other aspect of my life, I couldn't control my husband's choices and what the outcome of my life, what my future was going to look like. And that was really terrifying. But through this journey of coming to know myself and understand the traumas and understanding what was happening inside of my world, in my mind, in my emotions, I came to really find the resting place was in a higher power for me. And learning how to find that higher power in a way that could still the waters of fear and anxiety and depression and fear and fear and fear that were so much a part of my life, especially at that time when my future felt so uncertain. That became my anchor, and that became what I wanted more than anything else. And my turning point with my body came when I had not had a period for like 18 years. And in the middle of all this recovery stuff with my husband's betrayals, we had just done what's called a full disclosure and kind of had seen his full story. It was really difficult, traumatic time. And at that time, right at that moment, I got a period for the first time in 18 years. And the idea of getting a period was terrifying to me for 18 years because not having a period made me feel safe. Like, even though sometimes I felt fat, I didn't have a period, so I couldn't really be fat, right? So I had a period, and I expected to feel scared and expected to feel like this desire to go, up my game on my FitnessPal and start tracking and add an extra 20 minutes to my cardio or whatever. And the opposite feeling washed over me like a cleansing waterfall pouring over my head. And it was just this sense of relief that finally I was aligned with my higher power, with my own body, that I was in line with where I was meant to be. And the desire to kick against that in any way left me. And all I wanted, more than anything, more than I wanted to be perceived as perfect, more than I wanted this like illusion of safety, was I just wanted to keep that. I wanted to stay aligned with my higher power's will instead of my own will. And I could see very clearly that I had spent so much of my life kicking against that because I thought I knew better. Well, maybe you gave me this body, but I want this body, It was like I was so unwilling to be anything other than what I felt like I needed to be able to be loved and accepted. And since that day, honestly, I have not counted a calorie. I have not weighed myself. I have truly, it is like that burden has been lifted from me. Healing the body, and this is our stance at Lifehouse Body and Soul, and what we are trying to do through every aspect of our program is to help people understand who they are, to understand the traumas that they bring to their relationship with their body and the way they're experiencing life on a daily basis, and to find a place within themselves, like Nesha talked about, that intuitive place where we feel connected to something bigger than we are. Our own intuition, the universe, God. It doesn't necessarily matter exactly how you see that, but to learn to trust in that and to find that space again and again and call that space home and start to let that space be the guide as we move through life on a daily basis. As we heal our identity, our relationship with our body naturally and organically just shifts because we stop using it as an object, as a tool to get us what we want, as an advertisement, and we start honoring it as the sacred vehicle through which we experience life. And that changes everything.